Welcome, everyone, to TechDaily.ai. Today, we're embarking on a deep dive into, well, a really fascinating intersection. It's where cutting-edge tech meets environmental stewardship.
Absolutely. It's a critical area.
We're going to unpack key insights from Google's 10th annual environmental report, looking at how a tech giant is, navigating the massive energy demands of AI.
Which are significant, no doubt.
Right. But also how they're leveraging that same AI as a tool for global sustainability. It's quite the balancing act.
It really is.
Our mission today: let's distill the most impactful bits from this report, understand what it means for AI's future, and the planet's future, too.
And hopefully give you some real aha moments.
Exactly. Think of this as your shortcut to getting informed on a subject that, honestly, touches us all.
Mm-hmm.
Before we jump in, just want to mention that this deep dive is sponsored by Stonefly. They're your trusted solution provider and advisor in enterprise storage, backup disaster recovery, hyper-converged solutions like VMware, Hyper-V, Proxmox clusters.
And AI servers, too, which is very relevant here.
Yes, good point. Plus SA365, a turnkey security appliance, and public and private cloud services. You can explore their solutions over at stonefly.com.
Definitely worth checking out.
Okay, let's get into it. Google's 10th environmental report. A decade of tracking this stuff. What's the headline? The thing that jumps out right away.
Well, what's truly fascinating, and I think quite a pivotal milestone, is their achievement. They actually managed a 12% reduction in their data center energy emissions.
Okay, a 12% reduction. That sounds good, but need context.
Right. Here's the kicker. This happened even though there was a massive 27% increase in electricity demand to power those same data centers.
Wait, 27% more power needed, but 12% fewer emissions from that power. How does that work?
Exactly. And that surge in demand, largely driven by AI, as you might guess, it's a genuine decoupling separating their operational energy growth from the carbon emissions tied to it.
That decoupling is the key phrase, then. Many thought that would be incredibly hard at this scale.
Immensely challenging, yes. It shows it is possible to expand something computationally intensive like Google's operations while cutting its direct carbon impact, at least for energy use.
That's a powerful statement right out of the gate. But, how? How did they actually pull that out, especially with AI guzzling power like that? What's the secret sauce?
Yeah, it wasn't just one magic bullet. It was more the culmination of, well, years of strategic planning and investment finally bearing fruit.
So groundwork laid earlier.
Precisely. A big part of this reduction came from more than 25 clean energy projects. These were things they'd contracted over several years, some stretching back to 2019, finally coming fully online in 2024.
Okay, so a lag effect from previous commitments.
Right, and these weren't small projects. They added a substantial 2.5 gigawatts of new clean energy to the grids serving their operations just last year.
2.5 gigawatts. Can you put that into perspective?
Sure. Think of it as roughly equivalent to the power generated by, say, more than 4 million typical solar panels. It really speaks to the long lead times needed for these huge infrastructure plays.
And the foresight they had to lock those in years ago.
Exactly.
So they're building on those gains, not just sitting back. They've been strategic. Investments are paying off in carbon reduction now. But it's not like job done, right?
Yeah.
They're pushing for more.
Oh, absolutely not done. This investment last year pushed their overall carbon-free energy use on an hourly basis across their operations from 64% up to 66%.
Okay, 64 to 66%. That might sound like a small jump to some.
It might, but achieving even a 2% increase in hourly matched carbon-free energy at Google's global scale across all those data centers, that's a monumental task.
Right. Hourly matching is the tough part, not just annual averages.
Exactly. It means for 66% of the hours in 2024, their operations were matched by carbon-free electricity sources available on the local grid at that time. And looking forward, in 2024, they made their biggest clean energy purchase ever.
Bigger still.
Oh, yeah. Adding a massive 8 gigawatts to their portfolio in just 1 year.
8 gigawatts in 1 year. Wow.
Yeah, this isn't just showing commitment. This kind of aggressive procurement really demonstrates that powering AI, powering all their products with cleaner energy at scale, it's not just a pipe dream. They're actively building towards that 2030 goal of 247 carbon-free energy.
That is an astonishing amount of clean energy. It suggests real confidence that this path is workable, maybe even essential for them.
Okay, so beyond just buying clean power, let's shift focus. How are they changing their own infrastructure? Making the AI models themselves more efficient? What's that internal efficiency story?
Right, connecting it to operational efficiency. Google's data centers, I mean, they're designed from the ground up to be incredibly energy efficient.
How efficient are we talking?
Well, in 2024, their data centers used, get this, 84% less overhead energy than the industry average.
84% less overhead. What does overhead mean here? Cooling. Lights. Exactly. Think of a typical server farm. A lot of power gets wasted just keeping the lights on, running massive cooling systems, auxiliary stuff. Google's design means almost every watt goes directly to the computing itself.
That's a huge efficiency leap, maximizing every electron, minimizing waste.
It's not just turning off lights, It's sophisticated thermal management, optimizing power delivery. They even use AI to manage their cooling systems in real time, predicting demand, adjusting dynamically.
Using AI to manage the infrastructure that runs AI.
Oh.
Okay, so it's not just the buildings and hardware, it's also making the AI itself more efficient. That's like meta efficiency.
Absolutely. They're really pushing the envelope there, making AI models better, faster, but also inherently more, streamlined.
How do they do that?
A key technique is something called quantization. Essentially, it streamlines the data within the AI models, makes them more compact.
So like compressing the AI's brain.
Sort of, yeah. By reducing the precision of the numbers the AI uses without significantly hurting performance, the models become smaller and faster to run. Through methods like this, they've sped up large language model training efficiency by about 39%.
Almost 40% faster training. Yep. That saves a lot of energy over time.
Definitely. And it's not just software. The hardware is evolving, too. Their 7th-gen tensor processing unit, the TPU, called Ironwood, uses nearly 30 times less energy than their first cloud TPU back in 2018.
30 times less energy for the same kind of chip generation later. That's incredible progress on the hardware side.
It shows that relentless drive for efficiency across both the software and the specialized hardware means future AI capabilities should have a significantly smaller energy footprint per task.
That's a phenomenal hardware leap. Now, you mentioned they're also investing in the next waves of energy solutions, maybe looking beyond just wind and solar towards more constant power. What does that look like?
Right. This raises a really important point about future needs, especially as AI scales globally and you need that 247 carbon-free power, not just when the sun's out or the wind's blowing.
So what are they looking at?
They're actively investing in things like advanced nuclear. There's a new clean energy agreement with Kairos Power focused on molten salt reactor tech.
Advanced nuclear. And anything else?
And enhanced geothermal. They've actually got a first-of-its-kind project now operational.
Geothermal, tapping heat from the earth.
Exactly. These powerful sources, nuclear for reliable baseload, geothermal for continuous power, regardless of geography or weather, they're seen as absolutely key for ensuring reliable, clean energy globally, especially for economic growth and AI innovation.
So a diverse portfolio is the goal, not just relying on one or two things.
Precisely. It's essential for truly decarbonizing the grid.
Okay, that covers the inside Google story efficiency decarbonization efforts. They're making big strides there. But the real promise of AI, arguably, isn't just cleaning up its own act, right? It's about using AI as a global tool. So let's pivot. How are they putting AI to work to help us, the planet, more directly?
Yeah, this is where you see AI's positive impact really ripple outwards. In 2024, just 5 of Google's AI-powered products, collectively, helped others reduce an estimated 26 million metric tons of CO2 equivalent.
26 million tons.
Yeah.
Reduced by users of their products.
Correct. From their own footprints. To put that in perspective, it's like taking the annual energy use of over 3.5 million average U.S. homes completely offline for a year.
Wow. 3.5 million homes worth of energy saved by people using Google tools. That's genuinely impactful. What specific products are doing that? How does the AI help?
Absolutely. And these are products you might already be using. Think about Nest thermostats.
Right, the smart thermostat.
Exactly. It uses AI to learn your habits, optimize your heating and cooling, saves energy automatically, often without you even noticing. Then there's their Solar API.
Solar API, what's that?
It uses AI and Google Maps data. Helps solar installers design much more efficient solar systems for homes and businesses. It can estimate solar potential right down to individual rooftops. Speeds up solar adoption.
Okay, making solar easier and better. What else?
And of course, fuel-efficient routing in Google Maps.
Yes, the eco-friendly routes.
That's the one. It guides drivers using AI, considering real-time traffic, road inclines, speed limits, all to find a path that uses less fuel. lower emissions for every trip. These everyday applications add up to that huge impact number.
So individual actions scaled up through AI, but it goes beyond just personal emissions, doesn't it? You mentioned community resilience earlier.
Indeed, AI is becoming critical for climate adaptation, community safety. They've built tools like
FireSat for wildfires.
Yes, it uses AI and satellite imagery to help detect wildfires much earlier. That gives communities vital time to evacuate, gives firefighters a better chance to contain the blaze.
That could literally save lives.
Absolutely. And similarly, Flood Hub uses AI for highly accurate flood prediction. Again, giving people, aid organizations, crucial time to prepare, stay safe, potentially saving lives and property.
So early warnings for disasters. And what about cities?
AI is also being deployed there, helping cities become more sustainable at an infrastructure level. For instance, in Boston, they're using AI in over 100 intersections to optimize traffic light timing.
Smart traffic lights.
Essentially, yes. Leads to smoother traffic flow, less idling, and they reported around a 10% reduction in traffic emissions in those areas. These are complex problems where AI can find patterns, find solutions that humans just couldn't manage at that scale, delivering real benefits.
Okay, so lots of progress, lots of genuinely positive applications. But the report isn't all rosy, right? It also talks about bigger challenges.
Yeah.
These moonshots. What are the major hurdles they're still facing?
Right. This brings up a really important point about the full picture of their emissions. While their data center energy emissions are down, impressively so, their total emissions, they actually went up by 11% year on year.
Up 11% overall. But didn't you say data center emissions were down 12%? Where's the increase coming from?
It comes from what's called Scope 3 emissions. That basically means emissions from activities of third parties in their huge global supply chain.
Ah, they're suppliers.
Yeah.
Manufacturing the phones, the servers,
Yeah.
all that stuff.
Exactly. It highlights a fundamental challenge for any massive global company. Trying to influence the environmental practices of hundreds, maybe thousands of suppliers all over the world, it's incredibly difficult. It's like you can control your own house, but decarbonizing the entire neighborhood is another matter.
That's a staggering increase, especially when their direct operations are getting cleaner. So what's driving that supply chain increase? Why is it so hard to tackle Scope 3?
It's largely driven by just growth. As they expand globally, sell more products, use more services, their supply chain grows, and so do its emissions. And the hard reality is the world isn't decarbonizing fast enough or evenly.
Meaning some places are lagging behind on clean energy.
Exactly. In some key regions, particularly parts of Asia Pacific where a lot of manufacturing happens, the energy grids are still heavily reliant on fossil fuels. They're in the early stages of a clean energy transition.
So Google and its suppliers are limited by the local grid infrastructure.
Pretty much. They can't magically install clean energy everywhere their suppliers operate overnight, so they're partnering with suppliers, local governments, energy providers, trying to accelerate solutions. But it's a long, complex process. It reflects that the global energy transition is uneven. It requires systemic change way beyond one company.
Okay, that makes sense. A tough nut to crack. What about those next-gen clean tech solutions you mentioned? Advanced nuclear, fusion. The report calls them moonshots. Still a ways off.
Exactly. While they're incredibly promising, maybe even vital for that long-term 247 clean energy goal, solutions like enhanced geothermal, advanced nuclear, even further out, fusion, like their investment in TE technologies, they're still very much early stage.
Not ready for prime time yet.
Not at the scale needed, no. And they can still be quite expensive to get online. R&D costs, regulatory hurdles, building the infrastructure. It all takes time and money. The report is pretty upfront about the complexity of these challenges as they push towards their 2030 goals.
So lots of investment, but no silver bullets right around the corner.
It shows their long-term vision, definitely, but it's also a sober look at the practical realities of a global energy transition.
So wrapping this up, what does all this mean for you listening? Whether you're deep into tech, focused on the environment, or just trying to stay informed, what's the big picture takeaway?
I think this deep dive really highlights this incredible balancing act that's underway. AI, no question, demands immense energy. That's a challenge. But at the same time, it's emerging as potentially one of our most powerful tools for sustainability.
The tool can help solve the problem it creates, in a way.
Exactly. From optimizing Google's own grids and data centers to helping communities predict disasters, reduce traffic, AI's potential for positive external impact is huge. But it also underscores something critical.
Which is?
That while individual company efforts, like Google's, are vital,
Yeah.
achieving global climate goals, that requires broad collaborative change across entire supply chains
Mhm.
and relentless innovation in new, scalable energy solutions, especially those that provide clean power around the clock.
So it's bigger than any one company.
Absolutely. The journey isn't just about shrinking one company's footprint, it's about shaping a more sustainable future, using technology as a critical enabler, but needing everyone pulling in the same direction.
A truly fascinating look at how innovation, massive growth, and environmental responsibility are trying to coexist, sometimes succeeding, sometimes facing huge hurdles. It really is a reminder that every technological leap brings both costs and, hopefully, opportunities for positive change.
Well said.
And this deep dive was brought to you by Stonefly. They're your trusted solution provider and advisor in enterprise storage, backup disaster recovery, hyperconverged VMware, Hyper-V, Proximox clusters, AI servers, SA365 security appliances, and cloud solutions.
Covering a lot of ground there.
They do. And for those looking for a specific, really robust solution, maybe focused on data security and integrity, Stonefly offers a 100 TB immutable and air-gap SSO NAS for just $8,995. You can learn more about that and everything else they offer at stonefly.com.
Good deal for that kind of capability.
Definitely worth exploring. Okay, that's all for this deep dive. Until next time, keep digging deeper into the topics that matter.